What is going on, Ape Nation? So AMC is down over 13% on the week. It's pretty dadgum bad, I'm not going to lie to you. But this is exactly why I made this video, to tell you guys what in the hell is going on. Exactly why AMC is down over 13%, where I see it going in the near term, and what I'm personally doing with my shares. And we are going to get right into it, but before we do, you already know I need you to go ahead and smash that like button so the YouTube algorithm shares this with as many apes as possible and pisses off Ken Griffin. And for the love of God, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, because I drop videos just like this every single day. But enough of that, let's go ahead and get into the video. First of all, I want to say that there are multiple reasons that AMC stock is kind of sliding right now. It's not just one thing, it's a combination of things, and these are pretty big factors. But these are factors that don't really concern me, and I think you're going to understand why in just a second. For the last couple of months, I've been saying that AMC is a reopening play, a strong reopening play that has proven to be true. And we can see that just by looking at what they're reporting during their earnings. That being said, we were pretty much on point with that theory. But unfortunately, now we're seeing a new threat in the market, and that's the Omicron variant of the COVID virus. And when you get a threat like that, this is to be expected. People are freaking out and selling off, especially with stocks like AMC, because it is a reopening play. But it's not just AMC, and that's what I'm trying to get you guys to realize. It's not just AMC, it's the entire market. And it's other stocks, just like AMC, that are also reopening plays, that are taking the biggest hits, which means that this is just temporary, and this is pretty much just a temporary bump in the road, and we're going to get over this. And this is what you have to believe in. This is where your conviction comes into play. What you're seeing right now is just the initial reaction. How are the markets reacting to this new variant? However, we don't have enough data right now to be able to come to any conclusions, and that's where the problem lies. It's because there's uncertainty in the market, and anytime there's uncertainty in the market, you're going to see a lot of volatility, which is exactly what we're seeing in the broader market right now, is a whole bunch of volatility because of the uncertainty. And let me play you a very short clip to show you how other people are looking at this.
100% of Friday's action should be ignored. That would be true even if it wasn't a holiday weekend and it wasn't a half day where most of the best and brightest traders were at their beach houses, not even at their desks, but particularly with the holiday nature of it. But the fact of the matter is that we've had about 4 of these days this year where there was a sudden spike to markets. And in 3 of the cases, it only took 1 or 2 days to recover. In all 4 cases, it recovered within a week or so. And the reason being that markets have been very resilient around COVID-oriented news, and there wasn't anything earnings-driven in this. Earnings are what are ultimately going to push or pull the market. The headline risk around the COVID stuff, I really do believe, is just simply not a sustainable market force. I have never in my entire life seen a point at which American consumers have to think about whether or not they want to shop. The answer is they do. The question is always if they have credit, if they have financial wherewithal, if they have employment, if they have wages. National savings are up, national income is up, some of it for good reasons, some of it for bad reasons. But I'm not worried about the consumption side of the economy. Even some of the retail stories are idiosyncratic. Gap had a kind of tough result. Nordstrom's had a tough result. Target and Walmart had great results. So I think that you're just going to see competitive realities in the consumer space, but the macroeconomic reality of the American consumer is not going anywhere.
Stocks bounced back Monday from the miserable sell-off at the end of last week as cooler heads prevailed over a possible turn in the health crisis. The Dow rallied 236 points, but that was just a mere fraction of Friday's decline, the worst all year. The S&P 500 rose 60 points, and with a gain of 291 points, the Nasdaq nearly took back all of Friday's losses. David Bahnsen, Chief Investment Officer at the Bahnsen Group, said Friday's market nosedive was an overreaction.
Just as much as I'm somewhat sanguine on what the variant news will end up being, there's still a lot of uncertainty too. So some people still may not want to get fully back into the water. They want to wait and hear some additional information. But I think that the headline issue Friday drove some panic selling, and now you have a partial normalization playing out today.
Now, to add to this, we've also got Powell that came out, and he talked about tapering today. But specifically what spooked the markets about what Powell said today is that they're thinking about wrapping up tapering a few months early. Now, if you're not familiar with what that can do, just Google taper tantrum, and you'll have a pretty decent idea. But going back to what I said earlier, this is all about uncertainty because they have not made a decision yet. The Fed has not made a decision yet. So now the market is kind of throwing a tantrum about that because there's uncertainty, just like I said, and now the markets are reacting to it, and it's probably an overreaction, but here's what Powell actually said.
The most recent data, particularly since the November FOMC meeting, show elevated inflation pressures, a rapid improvement in many labor market indicators without an accompanying addition of labor supply, and also strong spending that really signals significant growth in coming months. Remember that every dollar of asset purchases actually adds accommodation to the economy. But at this point, the economy is very strong and inflationary pressures are high, and it is therefore appropriate, in my view, to consider wrapping up the taper of our asset purchases, which we actually announced at the November meeting, perhaps a few months sooner. And I expect that we will discuss that at our upcoming meeting in a couple of weeks. Of course, between now and then, we will see another labor market report, another inflation report, and we'll also get a better sense of the new COVID variant as well before we make that decision.
So there you have it. This is exactly why AMC and all of your other favorite stocks are going down right now. So as I promised you, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing with my shares. And what I'm doing with mine is looking at this as an opportunity to buy stocks cheaper than I have been able to in a very long time. So if AMC is your thing, if the conviction is still there, well, go ahead, buy you some more AMC because you're not going to find it this cheap for very long. Now, there is always a possibility that it could go down even lower, and not just AMC, but every other stock in the market. If that happens, take the opportunity because the stocks aren't going to sit there for very long because people are going to start buying them up.